and we'll get kicked off. So today's conversation is going to be fairly informal. It's really just going over preparation for actually interviewing for a job. So, what does that process look like? We've talked about some of this intermittently throughout the course. We do, for those of you guys who are in this current cohort, we do have a special guest from our previous cohort, Kristen. So Kristen is actually a yoga instructor at Lifetime. And so she's joining us today. But really what I want you guys to understand is there's a lot more that goes into actually getting a job than just applying and interviewing for a position. So if you have, the more connections you have, the better in coming into a situation where you want to interview for a position, which is part of the reason why we've consistently throughout the course talked about go in, get to know the PT manager, get to know the team members there so that you already have those relationships built before you're applying, before you're submitting your resume, before all of that happens, because then they're seeing your name multiple times, it's resonating, and they're more likely to take you on to that next step as long as you present well. So a few things that I specifically want to focus on today is talking about some of those things that typically it's a little bit newer in terms of like interviewing for positions or even being recruited for positions. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And now keep in mind, I'm not an expert on this. Okay. So there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter. I'm going to give you like just the tip of the iceberg, and then you guys can kind of go from there. Okay. So one of the things that I want to talk about first is your professional presentation on social media and professional platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever platforms you have, making sure that you have a professional presentation and that you're representing yourself as a health and fitness coach or a fitness professional. Also LinkedIn. So again, what you would put on Instagram or Facebook might look a little bit different than what you would put on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a more professional platform. So I just really quickly want to show you guys my resume, and we'll kind of walk through that. So with my LinkedIn, I have some specific information about me, my role, and results that I have achieved in my roles in terms of performance. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see this, and I'm going to start with my resume. This is kind of small, so let me expand it just a little bit. All right. So when you're looking at your summary, can you guys see my screen? First off, you want your resume to be professional. You want to make sure that all of your information is accurate, spelling is accurate, numbers are accurate, because the last thing you want is to incorrectly put your email address and then someone really loves you, but they can't get a hold of you. So just making sure that your email address is correct, making sure that it's crisp and clean and has all of your accurate information on there. And then in your summary, you want your summary to be geared towards the positions that you're looking to interview for, right? So, in mine, I have forward-thinking training and development manager, proficient in developing high-quality certifications and training programs by leveraging tenacious approach and strong attention to detail, which is all true about me. Service-oriented and performance-driven with excellent organizational, multitasking, and problem-solving abilities. Ability to maintain a positive attitude in tumultuous situations and keep the team focused on achieving strategic objectives. Now, yours doesn't have to look exactly like that. A couple things that you want to look at is when you're interviewing, you want to make sure that the role matches what you're looking for. So a lot of times, I will see that people have, thrive in a fast-paced environment, when in reality that causes them major anxiety, and that's actually not a great environment for them. So you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success, in that if someone is recruiting you, I know that this is my lane and this is where I thrive. If I'm doing the same thing over and over again, I'm going to get bored and I'm going to end up hating my job. That's perfect for me. It's not perfect for everyone. So you have to identify what's perfect for you and really look at that. In terms of my skills, these are fairly vague. You can be more specific here. I have strategy development, team development, leadership coaching and development, and live and virtual facilitation. So those are kind of my, my skills in there. Then in your experience, there's a couple things that you want to look at in terms of making sure that you have results. What have you actually achieved? Now, for a lot of you guys, you might not have industry experience, right, in personal training or in fitness. You can take this from any role you've had in the past. So you can say, as the technology manager at Best Buy, you were responsible for managing a budget. You were responsible for managing 3 team members. Whatever the case is, put those things on there. So I'm not going to read you my entire resume, but basically showing specific highlights of what you have done and make it relevant to what you're applying for, right? So like if you can't tie it into what's something that's going to be important to this next step that I'm looking to achieve, try to really make sure that the skills that you're putting in there as well as the results are going to be relevant. So I'm going to go over specifically my results. So as onboarding manager, I was involved in hiring over 1,000 team members, resulting in 23 million in sales and 45 million in productivity. Sounds pretty impressive, right? Like, that wasn't directly me, but I was a part of that entire process and I knew what my results were. So I knew that with these people that we're hiring on, this is the result that we can anticipate and then actually measuring that result. And again, a lot of you guys have these things in your current field. Relate it back to that. So being able to show results in the strategies and the techniques that you've used is what's going to be important. You can see my results in my previous roles are not quite as impressive because I wasn't as good at tracking my results. So as education manager, consistent 3% year-over-year increase in productivity. Regardless of where you go, regardless of what company, regardless of what position you're applying for, everyone is going to be interested in an increase in productivity and a decrease in turnover, right? So if you guys can correlate those types of things, it's going to be incredibly impactful for an employer. The next piece I want to talk about is education and training, making sure that you have on there what your education and training is, and then your relevant certifications to your industry. You can put references. I find that a lot of people, if they want references, they will specifically ask for them. So maybe have it available and ready. But a lot of people don't necessarily do that anymore. What they will do is they'll look on your social media. They'll look on your LinkedIn. So they'll Google you. So they'll actually look you up to see what some of that information says about you. So just kind of being prepared for that. Now, if we transition out of here and into my actual LinkedIn profile, what you'll see is it's very similar. So I have in my profile what it is that's really most important to me. I empower individuals and teams to recognize and achieve their highest potential through developing the knowledge, skills, and competence to achieve their desired outcomes. Some of the specific skills in there, and then things that are important to me that I also know are important to companies. So again, I highlighted some of those major financial contributions, but then also big picture visionary leader skilled in strategically implementing training that leads to immediate success. That is something that I know is very important to me in terms of a role that I would be involved in. It's also something that I know that has been incredibly impactful for my current organization that I'm in today. The other thing that you can do, and this is where I am not as great. So something that I've done recently is creating more connections on LinkedIn with, individuals that are in the industry, with other team members at Lifetime, because I'm not necessarily looking to go outside of Lifetime. So I'm connecting more with people within Lifetime. But if you guys are looking at other opportunities, connecting with individuals that work at those specific companies is really beneficial because you can learn more about the company and about those individuals. The other thing that you can look at is your endorsements. So, and you can see, like, you can add licenses and certifications. So I've gone in and added a few of the courses that I've done through Coursera in terms of organizational leadership. You can also take skill quizzes and actually get endorsements. So again, if you have clients or if you have individuals, team members, leaders that you've worked with in the past, you can ask them to endorse you. You can go in and endorse others, which is just going to increase your credibility in terms of job searches. And then you can see recommendations as well. Again, I'm not great here. That's why I have one received and one given in terms of recommendations. So definitely an area of opportunity for me. And then you can also select interest so that you see more of that type of content. Again, it's going to be more of a professional platform to really focus on. So any questions on resume and or LinkedIn? Communication in general. The other thing that you can do is on your LinkedIn profile, you can say that you are available for work or that you're hiring. So that's something really unique to LinkedIn, is you can actually like start to open yourself up to more opportunities. If you highlight that you're open to work, more recruiters and more people will see that. So that's kind of step one. Now, if this is an area where you're like, I have no clue what to write on my resume, I have no clue like how to really make myself seem more marketable, I don't know, like, I know I've done some things, I know I've done some cool things, but I don't really know necessarily how to speak to that. You can hire someone, you can hire a resume writer, you can look on Fiverr or different platforms, and you can actually hire someone to write your resume for you. You just send them your resume, you send them kind of a quick, paragraph overview of who you are, what you do, what your results are, what you're passionate about, and then they can help you write your resume to really make it appealing. One of the things to be aware of is when you're applying, most of the time the way that process works is there is an algorithm that looks for certain words, certain phrases in your resume or in your cover letter that's actually going to trigger that for the hiring managers. Now, that's not as common like a company like Lifetime, where we don't have 1,000 requisitions coming in, right, for a personal trainer in an individual club in an individual month. But if you're looking at a larger corporation, that would be something that is valuable. So we've kind of covered creating the relationships, establishing a rapport, getting to know people, and networking before you apply. So before you submit your resume, before you submit your cover letter. The other thing I think is incredibly important is making sure that you adapt your cover letter and your resume for that specific company. So if you're applying to Lifetime, you're going to look at the Lifetime mission statement, and your cover letter should talk about the mission statement, and it should talk about how your personal mission ties in with the Lifetime's mission, right? If you're applying to another company, you want to learn about that company and tie in how what you're passionate about is aligned to what that company is passionate about. That's going to make you stand out. Anything that you can do that's going to make you stand out is going to be incredibly beneficial in this entire process. Okay. So we've gone through networking, right? We've gone through getting to know as much as possible the hiring managers. So if we're talking about Lifetime as the context, that would be getting to know the personal training manager, if they have an assistant manager, the general manager of that club, getting to know all of those individuals and making sure that you are representing yourself as a professional in every single interaction. So once you put your hand up and you're like, hey, I'm interested in working here, if they see you, not cleaning your equipment, if they see you throwing trash on the floor, not picking it up, if they like all those types of things, it's like, oh, okay, probably not necessarily a brand fit for what we're looking for. Because those little things matter a lot, right? So like paying attention to how you're interacting in all those different situations, saying hello to the people at the front desk, because sometimes people will ask, right? So like sometimes a general manager will go up to the people at the front desk and be like, hey, I have this person interviewing. When they came in, were they friendly to you? Did they greet you? Did they engage with you? You don't have to be like fake, right? Just smile, say hi. You don't want to like hand them your card and walk right by and not be friendly and inviting, because that's part of Lifetime's mission. And any other company that you're interested in as well. So again, I want to pause there. Questions about kind of that before the interview process phases. Was there anything there that you guys weren't aware of or not necessarily understanding like how all the dots connected? Was there anything that was like helpful or beneficial there? Or was it mostly just a review?
No, I think it's a great reiteration of what Kristen just said. Yeah, I'm in the process of interviewing anyway, so a lot of things he said just reaffirm what it is.
Yep.
I think the one thing that you mentioned is not just did this week. I was actually on the floor observing what the trainers do and was part of their interactions with clients and met the personal trainer there. I think it's important for me to see how they all interact, and this is an atmosphere that I potentially want to be part of. And last thing is, if you haven't done it, do it, because it was a huge eye-opener. It's really cool to be in class here, but then when you're on the floor, even though I didn't even train, right? So I was just the third wheel. But the first interaction, I mean, I was sweating. I wasn't even moving, but I was sweating. So it got better, but it was really cool to see. And I think it puts a lot of what we were discussing over the last 8 weeks, puts it in perspective. And so I had someone who was just recently graduated and someone who's doing it a little longer. And you could really see how they do this. So including the introduction of an iPad, which I thought one of the trainers was doing it all with the iPad, which at the end of the session led immediately to some celebration of successes, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. I think you just reemphasized everything that is important.
No, I think those are great ads. And I think it's also really important, to your point, to make sure that where you're interviewing and where you're looking to get a position is a culture that you want to be a part of, because at the end of the day, it takes a lot of time and energy and investment to be successful as a personal trainer. So you need to make sure that you're coming into a situation where you feel like this is the right fit for you. The interview process isn't just about getting a job. It's about getting the right fit for you and you being the right fit for that company. So it really needs to be a good match. Otherwise, either you're going to feel like you're never performing up to standards, or you're going to be miserable because it's not the right fit and it's not fulfilling for you, and or a combination of the two. Kristen, what was your comment?
Basically the same thing. It was just a good reminder, a good refresher. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So trying to figure out, where do I want to be working? What do I want to be doing? Yeah. And remembering that you're kind of interviewing the place that you're interviewing at the same time.
Yes. And
well, I just wanted to ask a question about that introduction Christian had. What would be a good approach? Because I don't want to intrude or kind of bother in the middle of a session either.
I think that's a great question. Christian, do you want to walk through? I'll give my thoughts, but do you want to share how you kind of started that whole process?
Yeah, I think it was something that I ran by Zelig, and I think at one point by you as well, Sheena. But anyway, so I found out who should I talk to, right? I mean, I knew I needed to talk to someone before, but I think either Sheena or Zelig or both said, hey, it's the personal trainer manager that you should start. And then it was as easy. I went in the club and actually looked at, when you go into the club, there is always the board who is who. And so I kind of looked who is the personal training manager, and the stars aligned. He happened to just walk by, and I just said, hey, would you happen to have a second? And most, I would say, I can't speak for every club, but he was like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, hey, I'm going through this program. I'm with Lifetime Fitness. I threw in Sheena and Zelig's name just to give myself a little bit more, hey, I'm really doing this. And I said, would you mind if I would like to find out how this works? And then it was as simple as he gave me his phone number. He said, when and where do you want to do it? What would you like to see? And I said, well, I would like to do this. And then he basically made me come in and had already lined up 2 folks. I think he and his team, he picked the people that he felt were appropriate, and they were super welcoming. They were like, hey, they just took me and said, hey, client so-and-so, this is Christian. He's going to do the same thing that I do. He's just going to observe us. And the clients were all cool. I think the hardest part is just to kind of get over yourself and kind of ask that question, I think. And then it was a little nerve-wracking going in the health club as some, not working out, but all of a sudden being a potential employee. That felt weird a little bit. But once you get that over your head, out of your head, as I said, I sweated quite a bit on the first session. So, but after that, I was okay.
Well, and I think
I really like that. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, I I love how you did that, Christian. And I love how like the leaders kind of, set you up to like go through the experience as a client, but also have you see a client going through the experience as well. So that's who was that?
I had Seth is the training manager, super
Lawrence.
nice guy.
That's
yeah,
right.
Seth Lawrence. I had Emily Acevedo. Yeah, she's someone who's done it for a while. And I have seen her work out before. She's impressive. I
Yeah.
mean, just as an individual, because she has strength. And then I had Garrett, and I think Garrett is someone who's he's done it like for a year and a half. And so I got kind of like Emily, who's doing it for a while. And then I had Garrett, who just started. But both of them were super nice. I didn't get any of what you want, and they were very welcoming. And they're very open. I mean, because Seth told me, I said, here's what I'm working on. This is what I'm looking for. This is the journey that we had as a team. And right now, this is what I would like to have in my team. That allows me to kind of saying, is this what I want to do? He was very open. We talked finance, we talked day. I mean, you can ask whatever you want in a sense of kind of, that was my fact-finding mission, if this is really something I want to do or not. And he was very open. I think he gave me the good, bad, and the ugly, so there was no sugarcoating. And yeah, he walked me through what he would do as a client intake. So it wasn't really like role play, but he walked me through it, which is great. And I tried to sound really smart by throwing in some of the things that I knew. But I think it's already an interview when you do that, Willie. So if you go in, and Sheena, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Seth kind of knows me already. He saw already my willingness to do certain things, because I told him, I see them clean on the floor, right, doing the benches when there's downtime. And I said, whatever you want me to do, I will do it, because I'm there to get the experience. And so I think Zelig got a good idea from me. I'm sorry, not Zelig, Seth got a good idea from me. So at the end of the day, if I raise my hand, to Sheena's point, he already knows you, and he will be viewing your application slightly different. I haven't spoken to the GM, but
that's your next step. But yeah, so I think, Willie, to Christian's point, I think the other thing is the biggest challenge, and like the things that we tell you guys, it's multifaceted and it's multi-layered. It's never just about the thing, right? So like going in and introducing yourself is never just about the thing of like going in and introducing yourself. That takes courage to go introduce yourself and to say, hey, I'm a student. And that is something that you have to have. And that's one of the biggest challenges for new personal trainers, is to go have a conversation with someone that they don't know and initiate conversation. So what we're doing is, yes, you're creating that connection, but also you are showing your willingness to do something that they know most personal trainers are not very good at. So you're actually killing two birds with one stone. You're getting to know them, but then you're also putting yourself in an incredibly uncomfortable situation to say, hey, my name is Sheena. I'm going through Lifetime Academy, and I would love to just learn as much as I can. Do you mind if I shadow? I don't want to be in your way, but can I just shadow some trainers? Can I help clean the floor? Like, what can I do that I can just learn more about the role and learn more about being a personal trainer? Shows a ton of dropped a curse word, shows a ton of humility. It shows a ton of coachability and willingness to do things that are really uncomfortable, which again shows a training manager that like you're going to be willing to do the things that some team members that aren't successful aren't willing to do. So it's really, really beneficial. So now let's transition from kind of that pre-interview into interview preparation. So when you interview at Lifetime, and this varies a little bit by club and it varies by restriction. So obviously some clubs right now are doing more Teams interviews. They're doing more, virtual and things like that. So things to be aware of: if you're doing a virtual interview, you need to have your camera on. You need to be looking in the camera. And sometimes I'm not doing a good job because I want to see you guys as well. So like you want to, remember to look at your camera also, not just the person. So it looks like you're not looking in the camera. Making sure that you have even like a clear background. So I know like Christian has a blurred background right now, maybe blurring the background or using one of the backgrounds that are available, making sure that you're in a quiet space. I used to do final interviews, and one of my biggest frustrations is I would be doing an interview and someone's like, oh yeah, I'm at the gym. And it's loud at Lifetime. And so they're like, oh yeah, I'm just leaving the gym. And I'm like, okay, well, can you go to like a quiet space where I can hear you, because there's a lot of background noise right now. Or, oh yeah, I'm just in the car. Like, schedule it at a time where you can be at home, be on your computer, have your camera on. And I also understand like you might have kids in the background, right? So like just teeing them up to, hey, my kids are going to be home at that time. Do you mind if we do the interview then? If not, we can certainly schedule at a time when I have more availability, whatever the case is. But just trying as much as possible to set up a professional environment for that interview. If you're coming in for an interview, they might have you do a practical. So I would just bring a change of clothes, all blacks, black shirt, black pants, comfortable workout clothes, and be prepared. So wear dress clothes though. Like don't wear workout clothes to your interview. Wear dress clothes, bring a change of clothes, bring a change of workout clothes with you in case they want you on the spot to do a practical. Be prepared for that. Probably won't happen, but you just want to be prepared just in case. Ask about the interview process. What would you like for me to have prepared for our interview? And they might say, you don't need to come with anything. Come with a binder. Come with something. So we talked a lot, right, about like creating a presentation binder. So my recommendation is to take all of your assignments that you guys have completed up to this point as an example of your work, as an example of a client portfolio, as an example of client results and client tracking. The biggest barrier potentially that you guys will be overcoming is a lack of industry experience. So if you can showcase, this is the experience that I've had over the course of the last 8 weeks, I would bet money that you are going to be 1% of individuals that would actually bring something like that to an interview. So the lack of industry experience is going to be trumped by professionalism and preparation. So bring something in that showcases what you've done. And you can, if you have your assignments, you can clean them up based on feedback. You can type them up. If they're handwritten, you can have them handwritten. Just showing something that really shows the work that you've put in over the course of your Lifetime Academy experience. Maybe even having, you guys all are going to have your final assessments, right? You're going to record yourselves doing 5 to 10 minutes. Again, everything that we do is multifaceted. There are many reasons why we have you guys do what we have you do. You could actually submit that and say, I'm not sure if you're interested, but here is a video of me working with a client, just as an example. Do it after we grade it so we can give you feedback on like what went well, what you can improve on, right? But like, again, that's something that you can do that's gonna be above and beyond. Don't make it over 10 minutes because they won't watch it and I won't watch it either if it's more than 10 minutes. But you can do that. Christian, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a real quick question, not to digress, but I'm kind of planning in my head how I want to do that final assessment. And I think my initial thought is probably a little bit too convoluted because it's with someone who's not in the town. It would be over Zoom, like me on Zoom, they on Zoom. So would it be appropriate, since I now have established somewhat of a relationship, if I asked Seth to, hey, would you mind if I do it in the club and you could be my client for like these 10 minutes?
Ask him. Honestly,
I had this in my head and I said,
multifaceted for your practical interview.
Well, yeah, he brought this up.
Stuff.
Yeah, no. So it's totally appropriate. I had in my head, I haven't done it yet, but last night I thought about, do I want to go through the drama of trying the Zoom and not having the right equipment, or just go to the club, have all the equipment that I want, use one of the exercise rooms, that there are plenty of them, and just
Yeah.
ask Seth if he would be willing to do 10 minutes for that. And then, yeah, of course, he could use it then, obviously, for his own down the line. But so that's appropriate.
Yeah, I would say practice it over Zoom with your practice client, and then go in and you could ask Seth to actually do the recording. Just again, treat it like a final interview. If you're going to ask him, hey, would you be willing to be my client? Like, even if it's not, even if he doesn't perceive it that way, you need to be thinking, okay, this is an interview. Like, I need to like be prepared. I need to showcase my skills. If I'm going to use a tablet, I need to have my program ready. I need to have all my equipment set up. I need to like be efficient with my time. I need to have this timed out. Take yourself through the workout first so that you can make sure your timing is appropriate. So like really be very intentional with your details before going into that. But I think that's a great idea.
I'll let you know if I do it. There's a little bit of
Now you have
nerves.
to, Christian. There's no, you just told me that. Now you have to.
Okay.
I'm just telling you how to maximize the opportunity, right?
Okay, fair enough.
I think it's a great idea. I probably would have done the same thing. So funny story, when I was interviewing in Omaha, I didn't realize this because there wasn't like you know, if you guys go in Lifetime, like there's like a name plate right on the doors. And I didn't realize this. I was driving 3 hours, 2.5 hours from a small town in Missouri to Omaha, Nebraska for my interview. So it was like I had 3 hours of interviews in one day, driving to Omaha, driving back home. And so I needed a locker because I had a bag. I was dressed up for my interview. I had clothes, and then I had another change of clothes in case I got sweaty and like needed to shower. So it's like I had all this stuff with me. I brought like stuff to, you know, shampoo, conditioner, the works for like a 1 day, 3 hour interview process. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I walked in, you know, greeted the front desk people, and someone was in the end office, like right before, you know, you turn and you go to the locker rooms. So someone was in that end office, and I was like, hi, I'm Sheena. I'm here interviewing, and, you know, I need a locker key. I'm not a member. Can I get just a temporary card so I can close the locker? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he, you know, gets a card, and I take it. Okay, cool. Turns out to be the general manager. So like I do all my interviews, and then I have the GM interview at the end of the day, and I'm like, oh, hi. Like totally didn't know that was the GM of the club. He's still the GM of the club. But I totally didn't know that at the time. So yeah, those interactions do matter. Make sure that you're, you know, not making a fuss up in there. Okay. So interview process, we walked through, you know, preparation for the interview, make sure that you know what they're expecting. Ask any pertinent questions to make sure that you are 100% fully prepared. How much time do you anticipate the interview being? You know, so if they don't tee up anything and you're like, oh, I'm not really sure, ask questions so that you can feel confident with what you need to do to prepare and going into that. And again, these are relevant to Lifetime, but what I can tell you guys is Lifetime has the most rigorous interview process of any personal training position that you will interview with. So if you're prepared for us, you're going to be prepared for anywhere. So, and then coming in, make sure that you have a physical copy of your resume and a physical copy of your cover letter. Have a cover letter. Some people don't have a cover letter. Again, this is like, it's something where some people will be like, oh, you don't need that. It's that one extra thing. It's, you want to do as many things as possible to set you apart. All of these little things matter. It shows attention to detail. It shows care. It shows professionalism. It shows that you're willing to do the extra work. So have a cover letter. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy. It does need to be professional. You do need to double check your spelling and your grammar. Same with your resume. Bring in a physical copy of your cover letter and your resume. I would also recommend emailing those. They're going to get it in the requisition, but I'd also recommend emailing those. Bring in a binder, a presentation binder with examples of your work. So if you've worked with multiple clients this entire time, bring in a program or a program template that you've done for each client. Bring in client testimonials. If you have people that you've worked with, say, hey, I'm going into interview, would you mind just writing something up about your experience that you've had working with me over the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever? Put those in your binder, client testimonials. That way they can see like people have had good things to say about the experience that they've had with you. So we go through the interview, ask questions. So think now, write them down, take a notebook. What are the questions that if they aren't covered, I want to circle back and ask? Make sure you understand fully the compensation before you accept a position. I will tell you that for lifetime, compensation is slightly above minimum wage hourly when you're first starting out. And then after 2 consecutive pay periods of surpassing that target, and I'm not going to give you specifics because it varies by club. So these are good questions to ask in your interview if you're interviewing at Lifetime. After 2 consecutive pay periods of surpassing a certain target, you would then be bumped to commission and you would earn commission. Commission percentages range anywhere from 45% up to 58% total sale and service for programs, products, and services that you would be getting members connected to. At Lifetime specifically, you get a 10% commission on supplements. Again, there's a guide that walks you guys through this. So like if you go through the interview process at Lifetime, you'll have a guide that gives you these specifics. I'm being more broad spectrum because it varies by club. Other things that so one of the biggest things that and this is more of what I talk to like people who are actually in the interview process at Lifetime, but it's something important that you need to know. You need to ensure that you are financially prepared to be making a little above minimum wage. Because if you're not, it doesn't make sense unless you're willing to take a part-time job, which at Lifetime, most of our positions are full-time. It's a morning shift, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., or it's an evening shift, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. The shift schedules are Tuesday through Saturday or Sunday through Thursday. Again, there is not a lot of variance there. So like pretty consistently across the board, those are the shift schedules. So you need to be prepared. Again, if that doesn't work for you, Lifetime might not be the right fit. If it does, great. You need to understand the compensation and you need to be financially set up and prepared to be making a little above minimum wage or having secondary income while you're building up your business. That is not in violation of our non-compete agreement. So it couldn't be training clients on the side. After the interview. So ask questions, make sure you have your list of questions. If they aren't covered, they're going to say, do you have any questions for me? And people usually say, no, I don't think so. You're going to say, yeah, I do have a couple of questions. So you mentioned in the compensation plan, what does that equate to in terms of weekly pay? That's an example of a question, right? But like have questions. Don't leave that until you are fully understanding of the expectations, you're fully understanding of how you're paid, you're fully understanding of the things that you need to know to understand what this is. Yes, you need to know the mission statement verbatim. You also need to be able to explain how the mission relates to your personal mission. So they're probably going to say something, they might have you recite it. Sometimes they do. A GM usually will have you recite it. So you need to be able to say, our mission is to provide an entertaining, educational, friendly, and inviting, functional, and innovative experience of uncompromising quality that meets the health and fitness needs of the entire family. And what really resonates most with me in the mission statement is an uncompromising experience that meets the health and fitness needs for the entire family. Because I do have 2 small children, and so being a role model for their health and fitness is very important to me. So know the mission, also know how it relates to you personally and why it resonates with you. After the interview, after each interview, so like after your initial interview with the personal training manager, send a follow-up. Christian, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated getting to know you and the team at Lifetime a little bit better. I'm really excited to learning more about the company and proceeding in the process. Please let me know if there's anything else you need from me in the meantime. I look forward to hearing back from you soon. Right? Going above and beyond that, and this has happened literally like So my husband has been a training manager, an area lead, a regional manager, a hiring manager, essentially for, I don't know, a lot of years. And in his entire history of hiring team members, he has received, I believe, 3 thank you cards in his entire history from candidates. Do you want to guess how many of those people didn't get a job? None of them. So that's above and beyond, right? Sending a thank you card. You don't have to do that, but it's as many things as possible that you can do to really showcase that level of customer service, right? Customer service is huge. Follow up, follow through. All those things are going to show that you have what it takes to be successful as a personal trainer. After the general manager interview, same thing. Sending an email to the general manager, thanking them for their time, letting them know, what your biggest takeaway was maybe from the interview. If they share a little bit about themselves, I really appreciated hearing your story and how you have grown your career within Lifetime. I really look forward to having a story like that to tell of my own, something along those lines, right? So sending a thank you email to the general manager and potentially even CCing the PT manager on it as well. So that's kind of things to think about and things to do after the interview process. What questions do you have about that? All right. One thing that I do want to highlight is right now for March and April, and I don't have the specific slide, so I apologize. Right now for March and April, we are actually doing a new team member bonus potential. So new team members that are coming in, if they hit certain ramp expectations, they would actually receive a bonus. So again, if you guys are interested in interviewing, if you're interested in applying, this is going to be specifically for March and April. I don't know past that. So that's all they've communicated up to this point. We are really looking to hire quality team members in the next couple months. So that is something that's available. So I might have actually taken a picture of it. Chris, did you have a question?
Actually, Zelig went over it in a slide on his focus hour.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
So
you
it's
guys, go ahead.
yeah, it's if you the overall like it's 4,000 the first month and you get 1,000. The second month is 5,500. I think you get 500. Next is I think 7,000. You get 250, something like that. But he went over it.
Yeah, you're right. So I do have a picture here. So, and that's based on productivity. So again, there's a lot of nuances when it comes to like how it actually works in terms of business. The main thing that I want you guys to understand is like if you're interested in interviewing and interested in a position specifically at Lifetime, that is something that is important for you to know as far as extra income that you could potentially make. Thanks for sharing that though, Chris. So yeah, if you guys want to see that, you can watch Zelig's focus hour recording. Okay, Willie, so your question, what is a good list of other specialties that we should have on, specialists that we should have on hand? Dietitians, physical therapy, medical doctors, yeah. So I always like to have a dietitian that I can refer special population. So essentially I can work with anyone that does not have a diagnosis. If they are diabetic, if they have heart disease, if they have cancer, I need to refer them to a dietitian. If they are general population, have a weight loss goal, something like that, I can help them with their nutrition, but I like to have a dietitian to refer to. A physical therapist, depending on your beliefs, like I believe in chiropractic, but I also believe in like very specific philosophies of chiropractic. So like I will only refer people to certain chiropractors. Medical doctors for sure. I actually, again, this is like difference of philosophy, right? So you have to figure out who aligns with your philosophies. I refer people to naturopaths because that's my personal philosophy. I certainly don't defer them from like talking to experts that they have worked with in the past. It's more like if they're asking me who do you go to or my recommendation, I will refer them to the people that I personally go to. Okay. those are really the main things that I wanted to go through in terms of interview process. The last thing that I want to highlight is like when you're onboarding. So, okay, great. I went through the process. Yep, I got offered, I accepted. Now I'm a new hire and I'm going through onboarding. Obviously you guys know that that's like what I do full time, right? Is I focus on onboarding new team members. One of the biggest things that new team members struggle with is not asking for help when they need it. So you have to be willing to say, hey, I need some help with this. I'm not really 100% clear on what I'm supposed to do here, or I need help with this system. I'm not sure how to operate it. Specifically, I'm going to speak to Lifetime because we have so many systems and so many processes and so much technology and so many different platforms. It's incredibly overwhelming and it can be a bit stressful that you have to be willing to say, hey, I need some help. And let your leaders know when you need help. Reach again, if you're applying at Lifetime, if you get hired at Lifetime, reach out to me. Email me and say, hey, Sheena, I have a question. I don't know how to use Xcerp, which is our scheduling system, which is a little bit complex. Reach out to someone and say, hey, I need some help. Because your leaders are, I believe anywhere, your leaders are going to do the best they know how to do with the time and availability that they have if you're not saying, hey, I need some additional help. When you say, hey, I need some additional help, they're going to make more time for you. They're going to provide a little bit more support, but they also have to know what you need. So just make sure that you're proactive in asking for help. Yeah, so that's just my philosophy, Willie. All right, that's all I have for you guys. So I will open it up now to any questions. These don't have to be specifically related to the topic at hand today. It can be whatever additional questions you guys have. And if you don't have any questions, have a great day.
Hey, Sheena, I have a question.
Go for it.
Okay, so I'm kind of on the fence right now about applying immediately or waiting a bit.
Yeah.
How long is the quote unquote guaranteed interview good for? I guess
there's, to my knowledge, there's no like restriction on how long you have. I know of team members who've gone through Lifetime Academy and a year later we're ready to interview.
Right.
So
okay.
Yeah. So you'll have, it's not like you have to do it like right now.
Okay. Yeah, and I understand it's, I mean, the fit's got to be good and all that stuff. So I understand that, but just to kind of have that in my back pocket if I decide to kind of wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
And again, you can be building those relationships now if you think you might be interested in interviewing at Lifetime. And then worst case scenario, you have great relationships with people in the industry.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. So I've gone to both clubs here in town. So I like the feel of one more than the other, just the energy, I haven't introduced myself to the other club, this club that I'm at. So I'll talk to them. This is only my third time coming. So I think I'm going to wait a little bit, and I have some clients that are already lined up. So I'm going to get some experience probably, but again, I'm on the fence about it because I'm really want to join, be part of the Lifetime family, but I like being absolutely like ready to rock. You know what I mean? So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I know what you mean.
Hey, on that same note, how long do we have access to the clubs for after this course?
That's a good question. I will ask Alexa and we'll let you guys know on Saturday I think if you ask in the club, they should have the membership end date on there, but we'll confirm on Saturday as well.
I think they told me it was to the end of March, but yeah, I'd have to check, but I think that's what she said initially when they set me up.
Yeah.
It's an email. It's basically covering you until the 31st. And if you're a member, already have been a member, then it falls on April 1st back to whatever member you were. And if you haven't been a then it just ends.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Sheena. This has been really helpful.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Bye. Any other questions, guys?
All good.
I guess so.
Awesome.
On Saturday, you're going to ask me then if I made that connection with Seth, so I better get working on that.
You know me so well.
You put it out there, Christian, man. It's on you.
Actually, that's one way for me to get stuff done. Sometimes I put it in the universe, and that forces me then to do it rather than procrastinating. So
Yeah,
Accountability, man. For
Yeah.
real.
We're rooting for you, Christian.
sure. For sure. Awesome. Well, have a great day, guys. I will see you mañana for our final lab.
Perfect. See you then.
Thank you,
Bye,
Sheena.
guys.
Bye now.